All right, beloved, we'll do a little video on how to be a bigot. Yeah, that's right. That's something you're going to want to do if you're an astrologer. Hear me out. Being a bigot is all about how God looks at you and its people through its many lenses, because there are more than one powers, right? And how God stratifies us is through astrology. The gods look at us astrologically. Our value to them is based on their favorisms, right? So that would be the Masonic arch, right? Look at it, listen. It's segregation, separation, and uplifting of certain traits according to the will of the powers, right? So powers have a will and a recognition, a favorism, and an access process. They have people they want and people they don't. They want people up of the upper Masonic arch to be doing astrology and stuff. It is astro bigotry because the original way to stratify humanity was by God, right? Gods. The thing that formed this place is the planets. So their conditions, parameters, and ideals about their creation, because we are an image of them, and the fact that we are a replication of those cymatic waves that make the format, the shapes, the functions of humanity, the container from which the power of spirits fills them, right? So, that being said, understand that when you get into astrology, you actually are uplifting astro bigotry. That is the truth. Because the gods don't look at us the same. We were not created equal. That is the truth. Here's an indicator of how they test the age. During an age, an individual set of waveforms that come down from one of the powers, it gets authority. The chief authority in this time of the age of Pisces was Jupiter. Jupiter started his age too early, around 180, 200 years too early. He crucified Mars, right? That's what all the Jesus crap is. It has nothing to do with the sun. It has to do with a sun, the son of Saturn, who was crucified. Which is why it's why the people have to fucking remember this stupid shit. You crucified Mars in the age of Aries, and then ran an information campaign called religion to cover it all up. The Jews loved bigotry so much they came up with their own version. So did the Vedics. So did all these. There's their own version of it, right? Let's stratify based on the power we pick because they pick Saturn, right? Well, we're able to recognize them all. Each one of them have a people during an age, right? The age gets tested as this. The gods look at certain people a certain way. They're going to load somebody up with all the aspects in their astrology and drop them down here and put them in a low condition in the duat. Because this is hell. The planets rule over hell. The Greeks characterized this place just like the Egyptians. They rule Hades, right? They knew the planet, the furthest planet was Hades. They knew the next one was Neptune, Poseidon, all that stuff, right? Down to Urano, down to Saturn, down to Jupiter, Mars, the Earth, right? Venus, Mercury, the Sun, the Moon. That's the thing that made us, right? The things that made us, right? The chief of which is the sun. This is its domain, right? Which is why we honor the sun, because you can't live here without it, right? But the crazy stuff, at the end of Aries, the age wasn't over. And Mars was taken out of power, and his people. The administration language even got infiltrated. It was already infiltrated as Latin. It wasn't really supposed to be Latin. It was an administrative slide, right? A bunch of stuff happened around that time, which is why religion got all sorts of stuff got crazy. Not just religion, but the Greek Hellenism, all that stuff went crazy during that time because that age wasn't really supposed to end. That's why things aren't looking the way it ought to, right? The end, an inheritance got in haste. The end thereof is not blessed. Think about that. Because you can't throw those things out. Saturn's words are in that thing, and he's the ruler of the realm, right? And he dropped those words on us and makes everybody repeat them, and push them around the entire earth. Think about that. There's only one thing that gets like that. The scriptures, right? There's something in there, right? A testimony of a power, a father and a master, right? All in there. So, and how we stratify people is how they stratify people. So the test of the ages is this. They load a human with the aspects, because when I say I'm the letter L, I don't mean I'm actually the letter L. I mean, according to the Sephiroth tree, right? The aspects that are in my astrology that relate to my individual astrology are related to the Sephiroth tree. The Sephiroth tree are the emanations of the powers, the waveforms that come from those planets, because those planets move without your authority, without you asking. They never bump anything. They always have precession. They show up where they ought to be, and for us to calculate with. All without asking us where would they ought to be. Where would they like us? No. This is a microcosm, a macrocosm, a cosmos that works without our authority. Think of this. Every place there could be existence, right? The formulation of the waveforms that create the spirits to allow a body to function the way it does. Think about everything that ever could be, right? This is Ein Sof we're going to give to you. Everything, all the universes, all the galaxies, everything that ever is, the expanse of everything that could be is that Ein Sof, infinite potential. Specifically, all the galaxies have material, so that's not even that. That's just like actually a down from that. Because when we get down to material, that's not all potential. When we get into material, material is a function of matter. It's actually a fraction, right? It's not all the things it could be because it's a rock. It's not all the things it could be because it's a crystalline structure. Because if it's infinite potential, it's not going to have a format, right? It's just going to be infinite energy, right? It's not going to have a format, right? What we have here, a cosmos, a solar system, right? A galaxy, it's like a funnel from infinite potentiality to anywhere that could be matter, right? A backwards funnel from everything. If it's one thing, then that's everything to one thing, like a funnel, right? Like a funnel, kind of. But it's a 360 funnel, because everything fractioning into this spot kind of idea, right? Everything's connected in a fabric in that ideal. So anywhere there's possibilities with life, right? Say that organisms, consciousness, let's touch on consciousness. What it is we partake in consciousness because the infinite potential is that thing. It powers consciousness. We partake in consciousness because it exists, right? The not nothing. Ein Sof is not nothing, right? God is not, the power is not nihil. The powers we have local access to, the sun is the biggest of which, it's the most obvious. It makes photosynthetic fluids move in plants, then doesn't ask for you to do that, right? Just some thoughts. We stratify the existence by how the gods do and how they test the age. They load somebody with the aspects up, because if you were a fraction of the sun, all these things, it's going to be in your pie cut in your astrology. They load somebody up with all those things, and you are all those things. You are a fraction, a fatter fraction of those aspects than anyone else, because it's right in your spirit container, in the section of sky you came from, just like the Navajos that were sky people. That's why we consider the zodiac. Greeks, it's Navajo, the spiral thing. Think about the spiral thing. The spiral is the processions of the ages, along because the processions of the ages, the age has a theme of each zodiac and a theme of each planet in the zodiac, right? So they test the age by loading a person up in a low position in the duat that's having a tough life, and they have them live a life out in that age with all the aspects in them. And anything fucked up that happened to that person happened to all those aspects. And they answer that the age's planet is the ruler and answers for it. Because they're supposed to be the God, the omnipotent that takes care of stuff like that and makes sure certain things don't happen. Because there's supposed to be a bottom minimum and an upper minimum for wickedness, an upper maximum for wickedness, and an upper maximum for wickedness at the bottom, at each level in the physical existence, right? Just like the Vedics have. It's Dhamma. It's constant rolling and grinding like a friggin' ball mill. It's constantly rolling. We're not going anywhere. We're just moving, right? And the powers made us to move around and do stuff. That's why we're getting like a psychosocial shift. Bottom line, this person, and the age can shift with one person. They load that person up with aspects, and they don't get what they're supposed to get at the bottom edge of the age. The gods decide on it, and then they fucking shift it. That's why the ages don't process right when, the age of Pisces came in, right when the age is there. No, there's stuff that happens. There's people who become aware of who they are, You become aware of all those things that are in you, and you're like, oh, I've got the power, and you end up getting the authority to do things, but it was done in haste. You were supposed to raise up as a people over a period of time and raise up the natural way through administration, through not blood and conflict and theft and lies and deception, because the parameters are like the 10 Commandments kind of idea. That's why they never get rid of them. Just some thoughts, guys. Later, beloved. I'll blow your mind up.